went ahead and I did not set a proper end date
Ah,
and or end time,
okay.
and it messed everything up. It cut us off at a certain time period. Uh, well, I hit the go live button. Oh, here it goes.
Just checking it's polishing. And here we
Uh,
are. Awesome.
well, Jen is out there, and it looks like I repeated you. We're here.
Awesome.
Uh, I don't know. Did we hit the enter button at the same time?
Maybe, maybe. Okay. Well, we actually stopped at talking about some little fishing gear like hooks and fishing line. Once again, here comes the survival versus bushcrafting aspect. If you have it, it's awesome. And I think it's also cool. This is where survival and bushcrafting merge into each other, because if you use the fishing gear for fishing, that is absolutely perfect. But if you know how to set up a trap with it, this is where survival and bushcrafting merge into each other. You know, for
Oh
example,
yeah.
a snap trap, therefore fishing line is perfect because it's very thin, it's very sturdy. It's better than making something out of jute twine or some vines that you find. Um, like I said, I think in the end, it is knowledge is very much important, and other in the other way, I think it is absolutely important to be versatile, to have many options in your mind how to do something with the stuff you got or the stuff you have to create. And
Hmm.
this is something where many people who simply just rely on one thing will get into problems. And I'm not really no way an expert or something like that. Because I am asking so many people out there who are doing YouTube about things where I even can't figure out how you would do that. For example, a great YouTuber, I really adore him, is Billy Ryu from Canada. And
Um,
you know him?
I just thought of something. Setting a fishing for turkeys.
Yeah,
Have you ever heard of it? You take a long line and set it about 1.5 to 2 feet off the ground. With you have a main line, and then you have hooks dangling down from what they call leaders or small leader strings
yeah,
off of that main line. And then you use whole kernel corn. You fill the whole hook up with whole kernel corn, and birds and other animals are going to come up there and grab that and get that hook in their mouth, get it in their throat. And it may seem cruel, but hey, is it exactly humane to watch a hawk swoop down and grab a squirrel out of a tree and that squirrel's kicking and screaming every foot of the way? I've seen that.
definitely.
They don't die. They don't die. Those hawks and eagles don't kill their prey right away like they show you in the Discovery Channel. I've
No,
seen hoot owls swoop down and grab a rabbit at night, and that rabbit is like wee, just squealing away, going crazy. And that hoot owl takes that rabbit up to a tree limb and literally rips him apart alive.
yeah,
So nature can be cruel. Survival is blood, sweat, tears, pain, whatever, but it can be a joy whenever you get to be an old bastard like me that was raised in this kind of stuff. It's a lot of work, but it's rewarding.
definitely.
And whenever you can take a young person and hand them a ferro rod and show them what to do and instruct them step by step how to do it eat nice and easy and don't make a big deal out of it, then just say, you're learning.
Yeah.
I'm teaching you, you're learning. Take it easy on yourself. Don't feel bad if you don't get it right the first time.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it is for example, the bowl drill thing. I mean, hey, uh, it took me about a month until I got my first bowl drill fire, and my lesson learned was if I don't have to do it, I will not do it again. I'm
Hmm.
trying to practice it. I practice it from time to time, but in the end, it is yeah. Because I do not carry a bow drill set with me. And anytime I try to make a bow drill set out of nothing in the woods, it takes so much time and so much effort. It's good to know how to do it, but honestly, I don't have the time to run in the woods and find the perfect bow drill set. And like I said, sometimes even if the spindle has not the right wood, it won't work, or if the block at the wood at the bottom has not the right consistency, it does not work. Yeah, but it's good to know these tasks for sure. What would you say is, especially for the young kids, because you were talking about teaching kids, I can't talk about the US Boy Scouts because I've never been there, but from my experience as a German Boy Scout, um, and that was in the 80s, when I was a Boy Scout. I think this is really a good thing that helps you out in what you're looking
I
for.
thought there was a squirrel over there. Turned out just to be a bird. It was
So,
just a bird.
do you have any experience with the Boy Scouts, and what do you think about the US Boy Scouts?
Uh, there's some controversy in recent past with the Boy Scouts, but all in all, their motto is "Be prepared."
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been made aware that there are some uh, pre Boy Scout material over here at this school in Midland or Hackett. They're called Weeblos, Weebelo or Weeblo, and these boys are needing some fire building kits, and their scout leader or pack leader or whatever, he's been talking to me about supplying that he would pay for it.
Oh, cool.
And I said, well, we can start them out with the orange handle fire steels. They're cheap, and I can give them to those boys at cost,
Sweet.
and at what they cost me, and I'll donate the magnesium and the char cloth. He said, I don't
Awesome.
know if we want these little ones to have magnesium just yet, but we can show them how to use it. But yeah, they and the potassium permanganate and glycerin.
Oh
Have
yeah,
you ever used that?
for sure, for sure. I mean, it is self-inflating or self-inflaming. Put these both together and it starts burning. But the how do you name the first part of this? Not this glycerin. What was the other one? Was what you was mentioning?
Potassium potassium permanganate.
Yeah, potassium permanganate is also very good for disinfection.
Exactly. And if you get it in the just the right amount in the water, if it's makes the water just a very light pink color,
Yes,
it's suitable for drinking.
exactly, exactly. One,
Kills waterborne parasites and microorganisms in the water.
yeah, but once again, you got to be very careful. Don't overdose it because then you got a problem. Uh,
Uh, you wind up with what us hillbillies call the trots or diarrhea,
oh yeah, oh yeah,
gastrointestinal upset.
yeah. Oh, let's come to the next point where preparedness and survival tasks uh, are lining up. if you have diarrhea out there, you face many problems. You face dehydration, you lose a lot
Exactly.
of energy and all that stuff. So I always carry in my first aid kit Imodium lingual. You know, just
Uh-huh.
eat it and it'll help immediately. If you don't have it, you can eat chocolate, not hot one, you know, I mean cold one. You can eat hot,
Charcoal or charcoal.
yeah, charcoal. Yeah, charcoal is better word.
Uh,
Yeah.
if people out there in the chat will look up monkey medicine, charcoal monkey medicine here on YouTube, they'll find some cannabis monkeys that they eat somewhat toxic leaves off of these trees as their food source. And these tribal people, they make charcoal for the charcoal industry, and these cannabis monkeys steal it and eat it
Mhm.
to neutralize those toxins in their bellies from those leaves.
Exactly. Another good thing that many people don't know is if you don't have a toothbrush and toothpaste, just mix charcoal, make it very dusty, and mix it with water, and there you can clean your teeth with. Actually, there is
Mm-hmm.
meanwhile toothpaste on the market based on charcoal because it really whitens your teeth. You have black teeth in the beginning, but if you rinse it with water, this really helps. Many people are not talking about personal hygiene in the outdoors. And I mean, brushing your teeth, having a piece of soap at least, and some neutral deodorant helps sometimes too. Many people go in the woods with their very well smelling deodorants and they wonder why they get eaten by mosquitoes and all that stuff. When I go in the woods, I have total neutral deodorant. It is does not smell like flowers or something. It's simply neutral.
Yeah, my soap is pine tar soap, and it's probably cost me $2.50 a bar for 4 ounce bar, but I've stocked up on it, and I try to keep it on hand. It's the pine tar is um, it's excellent for dandruff. Otherwise, I'd be scratching myself half to death right now.
Oh, okay.
But um, at one time, I tried every dandruff shampoo on the market, and it would control the dandruff for a period of time, but it not for very long.
Okay.
And I take a small sugar cube sized chunk and put it in the cup with some boiling water and stir it and let it dissolve and cool and pour it on my head, lather it up, wash it out, and no more dandruff. None
Well,
for years.
dandruff, dandruff is, in my case, nothing I have to care about.
Well, if it wasn't for certain herbal medicine, my head would be pretty well bare. And well, thank God for the brains that He's given me because I look for solutions. People complain and about one thing or another, and I offer them a solution, and they act like they've been slapped in the face,
Yeah.
and they never use the information. I say, okay, I'll go to YouTube and then I'll put it out there for the whole world to see, and whoever uses it uses it. And then if they want to know something, I'll say, go to my YouTube channel and watch this video,
Yeah.
or look
Absolutely.
up like our videos of the same subject. No matter what you're interested in or need information on, it's here on YouTube somewhere.
Definitely. But like I highly can recommend is always check all the sources you can get a hand on. Don't only pick the first video and think this is it. Um, get every information you can get a hand on, and uh, this is something that I really can recommend to anybody because you know, something that works for one person may not work for another person or whatever.
We got a new guy out there, Rick Thomas. He says, can I ask how many here into bushcraft? Just starting out myself, been a prepper for years, but branching out. Well, Rick, you're in the right place. You're surrounded by people here on YouTube that that's into bushcraft and survival. Um, some channels that I suggest would be Really Big Monkey One,
Oh,
Dave
hell
Pierce,
yeah. Hell yeah.
and
He's awesome.
K-Bar User,
Tom.
um, and Whitetail, Bushcraft. Of course, there's my channel. It's a hodgepodge of everything.
Yeah, I would recommend also Bushcraft Bartons. I would recommend Billy Ryu. There are awesome channels out there, really, where people really are doing great stuff. Even some of the smaller channels, like for example, uh, the MI Woodsman. He's awesome. I hope you feel better, John, because he had some health issues. So MI Woodsman, always great stuff. K-Bar User just made a fantastic video about sharpening a knife with a ferro rod.
Yeah,
Jesus
exactly.
Christ.
I've seen that one. Seen it, hit the like button on it, and commented. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, yeah, but it is so right in the face, you know. It is metal. It is hard for some reason. Why shouldn't you use that? Awesome,
Mm-hmm.
just awesome. Yeah, but there are many good bushcrafting channels out there, or survival channels, or whatever. You just gotta click through the sub lists or somebody, and then you'll find it. And just to say, the community here, the bushcrafting community, is awesome. In the end, the people are interacting very well, and if you have a question, they will be answered. And
Oh,
this
yeah.
is
There's also another guy I want to give a shout out to, and that's House of Fire 72.
okay.
Uh, he's he's got some good videos on, and he sells what is known as it's a stainless steel stovetop ring that you can put on top of a tuna fish can or a soup can. And he's got the Blue Hill UL1 and the Blue Hill UL2. And as I said, it's just a stovetop ring. It's probably about that tall with little tabs that go inside where you can set your cup right on top of it and make an alcohol stove and light it up and have the flames, just right there on the bottom of the cup. And as you can see, I use that a lot
Ah, cool.
from the burn marks on it. Make my coffee in the cup and sip it right out of her.
Absolutely.
One old boy told me, well, drinking coffee out of the same cup you brew it in, ain't that like kissing your sister? What? That doesn't make any sense.
No, definitely not. Yeah, awesome.
I said, I just let it cool a little bit and start drinking. But, oh,
Yeah,
no.
and another thing is another thing I want to catch on is if people talk about bushcrafting and, for example, making their old backpack frame out of wood.
Mhm.
It can be
That's
done.
risky.
It
It
can
can be
be,
done, but it's risky.
and it'll kill your back because this, and
Uh-huh.
and therein comes the difference between, and this is what many people don't get. If you watch ancient wooden backpack frames, they are actually carved and chiseled by carpenters. You know, they have fine round shapes. They are very well made. It is nothing like going in the woods and tugging some sticks together and having a frame. There's a big difference. And always have in mind, a wooden backpack frame is way heavier than maybe a frame made of aluminum. Um, and all the attachment points and the suspensions for the waist belt and all this stuff, this is really, but it is cool. I mean, if you ever lost your backpack, a wooden frame is the one thing I would use if I could make it.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to make some, taking my jacket and pull this, putting all the stuff in there. But it
If
is,
my, if my backpack broke down, if the frame broke, if I had a backpack with a frame, I think I would just cut a small sapling and tie my backpack to it and carry it on a pole.
Yeah, definitely. This is a good idea. This is definitely a good idea. But let's put it this way. I think there really can be done a nice backpack frame within, I'd say, an hour, where you can put your backpack on and then carry it on your shoulder. But it does not mean that I would highly recommend not taking a serious backpack, just going with a wooden backpack frame. But please
No.
try it. Please, anybody who is out there and thinks you have to go out in the woods with a 10 by 10 canvas tarp, with a wooden backpack frame, maybe bare feet, because this seems to be very trendy right now. You know, go bare feet. Guys, just
Trendy.
just take a walk around the house for a half an hour, and then please come back and tell me if this was a good idea.
Oh my goodness. Let's get up, walk around a little bit. I gotta stretch my feet.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, walk over here. There. I know I've heard comments about somebody here on YouTube saying that, well, it's one thing to get out here in a country setting. This isn't just a country setting.
Yeah.
Look out there. Do you see any city streets?
No. No.
Any buildings?
Yeah.
Yeah. This, yeah, we got a modern day fence up, but that's not to keep people out. It's to restrict the animals from coming in.
Yeah.
Uh,
Definitely. And let me ask you this, because you say you're living about 25 miles away from the next city. This is why
10
you,
miles, 10 miles from the nearest small town and 25 miles from the nearest city.
okay, so you have to take care of yourself. What is considered first aid. So this is just what I want to say. Bob is living about 10 miles away from the city. I think 25 away from the hospital or something like that.
25 miles away from the nearest hospital.
Okay, so here we have a
Jen
guy.
teasing me. She said, Mountain Man's using a green screen. Green background? Yes. Green screen? Let me see. Let me see if the police come. I don't think so. I'll sit here all day, and they won't be here because I'm not inside the city limits.
So what I want to know is this. So at least if you cannot make it to the hospital, you know that it'll take at least half an hour to an hour until the paramedics come to you. This is why you take serious effort in having a good first aid kit, being not absolutely out in the woods. I mean, 25 minutes. But so what is the stuff that you say I keep here around in my surroundings to make sure that I can make it if the paramedics had to come?
Myself, I have several things I could use for a tourniquet that I have on hand. I wear, well, I don't even have my belt on, but I have a necklace here. I could take this off, and that's leather.
Mm-hmm.
And I could loop that over and through.
Yeah.
And if I get cut, I use that that'd be a good tourniquet. I could wrap that around my leg because my leg isn't really that big around. I could bring this up here like this and bring it through and pull it tight. And they say a tourniquet should be tight enough to constrict, but you should be able to slip your finger up under there. to allow for a little circulation to keep the flesh alive. Don't cut it off entirely. Don't cut the circulation off entirely.
Yeah,
Leave a
definitely.
little bit of room just so your finger can slip under.
Exactly. And you also have a suture kit for case of emergency or whatever. But what the point I want to make is that even a guy like you who is just 25 minutes away from a hospital has a decent first aid kit and not
Hmm.
saying, oh, I can just run in the woods and try to find me
I
some.
have I have sutures. I have the the pliers for the tools to hold the needle to grip it. So, well, if you try to use certain things, you'll break a suture needle. They're specially designed type hemostats where the groove cut in on the inside jaw. There's a groove cut in there just for holding the needle.
Mhm.
So, and they're fairly heavy duty, about a medium sized hemostat type tool. And I have probably 15 different sizes, anything from a small laceration to the face, but it's deep enough to where it would needs stitched up all the way up to a large gash in the leg. And uh, clamping materials, quick clot combat gauze. You stuff that quick clot combat gauze in there, but first, in a deep gash, you would want to evacuate all the blood that would be in there, in the wound itself, and then pack that combat gauze in there just inch by inch, just pack it in there, and it will stop the bleeding. It has a coagulant type property embedded in the gauze that will cause the blood to clot up and stop that bleeding. But by all means, as soon as possible, as soon as you administer first aid, call an ambulance, if at
Absolutely.
all possible.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the first way to go. But like you said, there is maybe a half an hour to an hour you have to stay, and this you got to survive.
Hmm.
And that's important. So just to make this clear, if you're going out there hunting or going in the woods, do you carry a first aid kit with you?
Oh yes.
Wonderful.
That is one of the necessities. I mean, I couldn't stress it enough. Living out here like I do, if I go 2 miles from home or just down the block, I've got an IFAC, an individual first aid kit with me in a pocket or on a belt. Um, One of my friends was joking with me and he said, "You've just got everything in the world strapped to you." I said, "Look where I live.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look how I live. I use guns and knives all the time. If I suffer an accident, which, I'm always very careful not to, I definitely rely on my first aid supplies. About
Yeah.
a week and a half ago, I had to stitch up a cut on the underside of my pinky toe, the smallest toe of my foot. I had to put four sutures right under here. I stepped on a piece of glass. I was roaming around out here barefooted and stepped on a piece of glass and oops.
Yeah. It's like that. It can happen so quick. I mean, even I encountered things when I was sleeping. The first time I slept in a hammock, you don't sleep with your shoes in your hammock. That's clear, you know. And I was just
Mhm.
simply, I had to take a pee at night, so I just was slipping out the hammock, stood on the ground, and rammed my feet right into a stick that was sticking out the ground. And it was not very deep, but it was bleeding. So and then at night, and it was cold, and you say, hey, damn, okay, take your first aid kit, clean that wound, tape it, make it nice and easy. And it was hurting the way back, definitely. It was hurting the way back, but yeah, highly enough can recommend that stuff. Um, yeah, totally. When did
First
you
aid
ever?
kit. If somebody says they don't have room for a first aid kit, I would ask them, "What do you have room in that skull for any brains?"
Good point. Good point. Good point.
Injuries happen, and we're talking about survival. If you don't have your health and your physical ability, your mobility, or whatever, you're losing blood, you're sick, you got diarrhea. I take loperamide tablets and I keep liquid ammonium AD.
Hmm.
Liquid ammonium AD works a little faster than a tablet. It
Yeah,
takes anywhere from 24 to 48 hours for the loperamide tablets to work. Uh, and being here at home, I can take a couple of those tablets and go lay down. But in
yeah,
a survival situation, liquid ammonium AD and nothing to eat or drink for an hour or two, and that right there will stop it.
yeah, definitely. And one thing people have to have in mind too, if you're watching these survival shows, there is always a paramedic with them. You know,
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't show him, but he is there.
And
And
there's craft service with nice food on a big platter.
yeah, and even that paramedic, he ain't gonna carry a small first aid kit. He has a backpack full of
No,
shit.
he's got boxes and bags, and oh my God.
Definitely, definitely.
My father, God rest his soul, he was a practical nurse, a male nurse over at Sparks Hospital in Fort Smith. He went over there, got his training, and he lived his life out on the road. He wasn't around a whole lot when I was a child. He was in and out of my life here and there. But one thing that he stressed was knowledge.
Yeah,
Whenever he came around, he would pass something on to me. He would give me medical books. He would give me books on uh, everything that had to do with survival, medical training. I got fascinated with it, developed a thirst for knowledge.
yeah.
Anything and everything you can learn, learn it. I, I say that in more than a few of my videos.
You're totally right. I'm actually going to take every year. I'm taking a first aid course at the German Red Cross, just to fresh it
Hmm.
up, just to get into it, not to forget about it. Because you don't have to forget, if you are hurt, you're under stress. So the more routine you have, the better you work. Um, and it is very easy to learn something in a first aid course, but actually, if your blood is pumping out, or you're looking at your own flesh, open wide, it's a total different scenario. You got to get used to this. And Rick Thomas, he just wrote in the comment, if the rescue squad could even find me where I live, it would take them 30 minutes to get here, like living out back. So I always got a full kit.
Hmm.
Way to go. Way to go.
um, that little fanny pack that I got, I'm going to step inside and grab that right quick. The one I was showing you a while ago.
Yeah.
All right, let me step inside and grab that right quick. Oh.
Hey, Rick. Yeah, I'm definitely saying that. I mean, I took several first aid courses, but always every year I just figure out, man, I forget about that. So here we have the first aid kit. Okay.
All right. This is not exactly a first aid kit, but it's just some of my survival items. Uh, let's see. Oh, here's some that I did not show you a while ago when we were off the air. I stuffed it down in the back of a fishing hook package. By the way, for anybody that wants to know, I use these true turn hooks. Even people that cannot fish or doesn't know how to fish, you can catch fish with these. It's easy. The fish practically hooks itself. True Turn, spelled TRU-TURNE. These are size 6 for very tiny panfish. And this is suture needles, military surplus. Let's see here. Suture, catgut, mayo, circle, taper, size 4. All right, now let me get one out here. Ah, there it is. Now this would be for a large wound. This right here.
Oh yeah, that will be a large wound.
This that you can see the needle's eye there, where you could put a fairly good sized piece of thread through there.
Mm.
And this, maybe the smallest I would use this on would be 1 inch up to a 5-inch laceration, and about a 1/2 inch wide at the widest, because it's I think yeah, it's a size 4, so it would handle a 1/2 inch wide laceration. But that's stressing it. That's the extreme.
Yeah.
This needle is not sterile now, and I'd have to dip it in some alcohol before I use it. I'm gonna put it in here with the rest of them, which I'd have to sterilize all of them. Of course, the package has been open for some time and hasn't been sterile. And then again, we have the vitamin packets. I got about 10 of those in there. Ferro rod striker, water purification tablets, iodine tablets with the neutralizer for the taste in case I'm with somebody that can't stand the taste of iodine. Drawing salve that I use for a general ointment for any wound from a tick bite up to a cut. It not only draws out infection but prevents it. Oh wow, a big cigarette lighter. What do you think about that? Yeah, big cigarette lighter. 2 big cigarette lighters. Let me see. What else in here? That's about it for that little pocket. I'm not done packing this thing. I just started on it. And I have more small sample suture kits, like I was showing you off air a while ago. Chromic gut or cat gut.
Yeah.
For everybody out there, you can get these on eBay, relatively cheap. I paid $65 for about 200 in a box.
Wow.
And they come in various sizes. Usually the picture of the needle on the outside is the actual size. Much like this little outfit right here, right under my index finger, is the teeny tiny little hair-like needle. Let's see if I can get this up there close to the camera. There they are, right there under that tab, that butterfly type tab. They just look like little pieces of thread, but those are little 2-hook needles. Those would be for tiny little, like maybe a straight razor slash or something like that. A slip with a knife. Here's number 3. Let me get this. Oh, well, why do you know that? Well, that's no good. The dang thread came loose from the needle. I used that thread with those other needles.
Well, I don't want to interrupt you, but don't tell everything because I'm just uploading a video on my first aid kit and I just tagged you to show yours. So you got something to do.
I've got other first aid supplies, but well, it seems to me like these things are just, since they've been opened over a year now, the needles are breaking off from the thread. They've degraded, the thread and the needles have degraded. I'm going to have to go through here and see which ones are going to be viable or useful.
Oh, that's another good thing to say. Always go every half a year through your first aid kit, check on the expiration datas and all that stuff. You know, if you have a first aid kit that is 10 years old, you might be screwed.
Yeah, if you have, this right here is a learning experience for me because, here's a a needle on a curved needle on some mono. This is nylon.
Yeah.
Now, the monofilament is the one. This is braided nylon. Now, this has got a better shelf life than the monofilament.
Yeah.
And this one right here is good for a large cut.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But I've had my grimy fingers on it, and I would have to wipe it down with alcohol wipe. And I hope no one out there in the chat suggested that you sterilize it with fire because you'd melt the thread.
Definitely. Just bear with me a second. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
All right. What's everybody doing out there in that chat room? Oh boy.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, just wanted to say, I think I got more about 15 minutes, then I gotta hop off, unfortunately, because it's turning 1 a.m. and I got a hard day tomorrow. Yeah, I'm working on Sundays.
1 a.m. I forgot about that time difference.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, and I know what happens now in the chat that Jen will now say, Mark, I know you have been up to 5 a.m. on these chats. Yeah, but tomorrow I have a video shooting for a customer and I really got to get up early. It will last the whole day long. So in this case, I got to find some sleep.
That would be a, let's see, is there Shaker HP people out there in the chat room? We got 9 viewers. We got a bunch of people out there working in the chat room. Well, folks, we're going to have to cut this shindig short because Mark's got to get some sleep for a big job tomorrow.
Yeah, no problem. So, anything you wanna? What is your opinion about bushcrafting and survival? What is your definition, and how would you elaborate on that topic?
Bushcrafting and survival. Let's see here. I got to hit the spell check on this last word here. How would I elaborate on bushcraft and survival? Just learn everything that you can, practice what you can in your backyard. But by all means, somehow or another, get out in the woods, practice your identification of wild edibles. Get yourself some fish hooks, some vitamins, some power bars, energy bars, whatever, and put it in your pack. But as you said earlier, bushcraft, it's good to know it goes hand in hand with survival. It is part of your survival skills.
Definitely. Definitely. It's simple like that. I mean, you can have the best survival kit and the best knowledge, but if you lose this for whatever reason, then you got to know alternatives.
Hmm.
And you got to practice them, because then you know how hard it is sometimes just to get this done.
Yeah.
What is the
Yeah.
what is the bushcraft? Let me ask you this question, Bob. What is the bushcraft task that you hate the most, except of bow drill?
The bushcraft task that I would hate the most. I don't know about bushcraft. I've never really thought of myself as a bushcrafter, but shelter building.
Yeah.
I love tents.
Yeah, there's no
Building
good.
a damn shelter. Oh, it's a pain in the butt.
Definitely.
Building a lean-to or any kind of structure like that, that is the longest, most arduous, sweaty, hot, nasty job there is in the summertime. You think you're gonna freeze to death in the winter before you're gonna get that chore done, get that shelter built. Oh my God. Building a shelter. That's the toughest thing. That's like washing dishes. Ugh, I hate it.
Absolutely. Someone asked me and said, Mark, why don't you use tents when you're doing your hikes and your overnight as well? I would love to use a tent, because there's no good reason not to use a tent. I mean, it takes 5 minutes and you got a decent shelter with nice walls and a nice ground sheath, and everything is easy, and you got a mosquito net webbing and all that stuff. The reason why I use always tarps is not because I'm such a badass. The reason is the German law. It is forbidden by law in Germany to set up a tent in the woods. A
Huh?
shelter, yeah, it is forbidden to set up a tent in the woods, because this is considered to be camping, which is forbidden in Germany in the woods. But if you set up, and camping is defined by an enclosed shelter system. If you use a tarp, there are open walls, and then you're not camping. Please don't argue with me how silly that regulation is, but this is the reason why we use tarps.
Law is the law. Yeah. I'm not gonna ask any questions about it or argue about it because there's certain things like here in America, if you go to a state park to camp, you're not allowed to get off the trail. Don't get off the trail because you might damage the foliage or the plants or something. I'm thinking, huh? This shit grows everywhere. What are you talking about? This stuff is not unique to your park.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes these tree hugging aspects get way overboard. I mean, for sure, you don't walk in the woods and just run into where all the deer stand and whatever, But I mean, really, I mean, getting 50 meters off the trail and setting up a camp there, does that really hurt the nature? I don't think so. I really don't think so.
Nah, it wouldn't. But that's just one of the regulations that I seen posted at where was it? Uh, Mountain Magazine, a park up near Mount Magazine, Arkansas. A place called Cove Lake up around Mount Magazine. And I just quit going there. A buddy of mine, well, I quit going there when a buddy of mine had passed away. He died. And I just said, screw it. I'm not even going to the annual camp out anymore. I'm going to stay home and work. I used to go there and teach my friends a few things that I knew and I'd learned. I tell them, come out here now.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely. Like I said, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are people sometimes out in the woods, even in the German woods, that simply, and I want to say it in the British way, that simply don't behave. So they simply mess it up. They are loud like hell. They're running the music like crazy or something like that, and simply they scare the wildlife. This is not how you should go into the wild or into the woods. I mean, seriously, you should know, seeing the tracks of the animals, don't go there where they sleep and all that stuff. I mean, this is basic. But like I said, it has to be taught to you. I mean, I was lucky. My father is a hunter. And since I was able to walk, I was out with him. So he taught me everything about every trail, where the animals live, where they sleep, where they get a rest, where not to go, and all that stuff. You should know that. But I think this is something many people do not talk about too, you know. So enjoying the wild or enjoying nature is awesome, but also respecting nature. Um, don't go into, in Germany we say, these are special places where animals rest over the daytime. Don't go in there, because you scare them off. You make a move, you know. Even you make a small baby deer being separated from her mother if you do this. Don't be loud like crazy or something like that. It is these are things you have to learn too. And yeah, I once had an overnighter laying in my hammock. Everything was easy, everything was cool, and then suddenly I thought there was Bigfoot coming around, because it were simply three youngsters making a hell of a noise, just breaking through the bushes, and they didn't even spot me. They were about 20 meters away from me. That's about, I'd say, 60 feet. 60 feet, they didn't see me and nothing, but they were scaring off all the wildlife, and that's not the way to work, you know. And I'm a big fan of leave no trace. If we go in there, we go out there, and you shall not see that we have been there.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of leave no trace too. I just told them people out there in the chat. Somebody said nature will be good to you if you're good to nature, and I told them nature will kill your ass if you're not careful.
Yeah. I mean, that is this is a little bit a romantic way of looking at it. Nature, in my opinion, and this is nothing esoterical or whatever, but nature does give a shit about human beings out there. Nature does whatever it wants, and you got to adapt to it. And if not, you're screwed, period.
Adaptation, that is a whole other aspect. Adapt or die.
Exactly. And yeah, I'm an Utah O's AKJs. Okay, that's crazy. The name. He says, yeah, like you said, if nature's good to you, nature will be good to you. Respect and be respected, and do not be very scared to kill things. Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the end, I saw a funny cartoon to end this up. Maybe there was it's called the tree hugger. So somebody went into the woods and he was hugging all the trees, and he said, "Oh, wonderful tree, thank you that you're there." And then he went to the next tree and said, "Oh, you're a beautiful tree," and all that stuff. And then he put his ass to sleep, you know, and slept under the stars. And the next morning, he got killed by a widowmaker. So this is
A widowmaker, black widow spider.
We call widowmakers big branches that fall from trees.
Oh, okay.
You know, so
I
he
just
hugged
learned something.
he was hugging the tree, and the tree smashed him with his own branch. So
Oh, boy. That's. I thought he got bit by a spider. You know, okay, widowmaker limb. That I like that. The tree hugger got killed by a tree limb.
Okay, Bob. It was a real pleasure to talk to you and to meet you. And I really gotta hop off now and take care of some business and then take my ass to sleep. Um, it was a really great chat. I learned a lot. Like 3 leaves, leave it be. 3, leave it be, and two,
Mhm.
two. What rhymes to two? Yeah,
No, the two doesn't factor into it. It's just leaves of three, leave it be,
leaves of
and
3,
and
leave it be. And
that's
cedar,
poison ivy.
cedar is good against snakes. So
Hmm.
I learned a lot. Thank you very much. And well, maybe we'll talk again. I will. Sometimes I make the Bush Talk series, hangout, an open hangout where everybody can jump in. So I now that you're in my circles, you will get notified if I do that. And you're always welcome to jump in there. And was a pleasure. And don't forget, the video is up now. You got tagged. So
Okay, I'll make sure to get right to that.
all right. Okay. So Bob, thank you very much for having me. It was awesome, and hope to talk to you soon.
It was a pleasure, Mark. Thanks for joining me and making this a great event.
Thank you very much. Okay, guys. Bye. Take care.
Good night, everybody.